Tuesday, the 25th of February 2025, and the US markets are just about to open. In the morning session, I just traded gold, went long here on a classic reversal pattern, rated the lows of Asia session, closed in the range. I went long, I even added twice. Took profit in the first two around here, which was pretty much the top part of the move. And then I let the third add-on, or the second add-on, run for a bit. It wasn't really doing much, so I closed it. And then we pretty much made a new low, rated the lows again, closed into the range once more, but so close to the US session, I'm not gonna take that setup. So now I'm just going to focus on my normal mechanical entries, which will start with the completion of the second 5-minute bar in the Dow. Then I'll be looking at the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq, fifth 5-minute bar in the S&P 500, and then the second 15-minute bars in the DAX, in gold, perhaps in the Nasdaq and Dow as well. So plenty of entries for us in the US session, but I will be taking the very best ones for sure, and I might consider not taking some of the others. The best ones are by far, in order, the best one is the close of the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq. The second is the close of the second 15-minute bar in the DAX. And the third best one is the close of the fifth 5-minute bar in the SPX. But I'm also going to take the second 5-minute bar close in the Dow because it's pretty good, has gone pretty well in the past few days, so I'll be looking at that as well. With that being said, I'm going to pause you now and just observe price action, and I will bring you back when we're closer to placing the orders in the Dow. So I have placed my orders above the second 5-minute bar. It's about to complete any moment now. 5-point cushion, 5 to 6 point cushion above and below, so it's a buy order above, a sell order below, and I will respect the first fill. I will delete the other order. I will place the stop in that order's place, so if we get triggered long here, I will be deleting the short order and placing my stop here. I don't really have a bias most of the time, which is the beauty of these mechanical entries. You can just take them completely mechanically and even ignore the structure. You can of course look at the structure as well, just to get an idea if you want to. You have previous day high marked, previous day low, and the previous sessions as well. So we've kind of visited previous day high almost. We've rated the high end of the range here. Now I'm just going to sit on the 5-minute and observe the action. I am also keeping a close eye on the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq. It is currently starting from 333 and going all the way to 262, so it's about a 75-point bar-ish, plus the cushion is going to go to an 85-point bar, so we will require a bit lower sizing, but of course this can get even larger before we hit the first 15 minutes of action here, so I will keep monitoring it. I can of course adjust the sizing after we get filled as well by taking a bit off if the stop loss is too high. I do want to risk just 0.5% on my normal entries at most, and on my higher rated entries I just want to risk like between 0.6 and 0.7%, so a bit more, but not a whole lot more. So right now I think something like this would be appropriate, but let's see what happens. Still 3 minutes until we complete this bar. And then we'll focus on the fifth 5-minute bar in the SPX and so on. So I'll pause you now and bring you back when we have a fill or when we're closer to completing the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq. So I'm bringing you back here. bar has gotten a bit larger. So 5 points is going to be like 38, 39 here. Above and below, we're going to have to be a bit careful. Still 20 seconds to go. You really don't want to place the order too early and get filled before the bar completes. That generally spells trouble. As in an observation, generally the past few days we've broken this first 15-minute bar to the downside, and it has worked well. A bit slow here. Okay, I managed to place it. I do think we're going to see a fill to the downside and do something similar to the past few days, probably. But let's see. The cushion has kept us from getting filled so far, which is nice. In case this wants to rally from here, we were spared a bad entry. And this is why the cushion is so important. For the Nasdaq, it's 5 to 6 points, just as is for the Dow. Similar thing here, we almost touched it, but retraced. Now if we go back down again, I'm fairly confident we're going lower. But whatever happens, I'm taking the entry mechanically, and I'll place the stop at the other end of the bar, and I'm also going to respect the cushion. So you have to calculate the cushion as well when you calculate sizing. So if you want to risk just $70 max, obviously you're going from 339 to 241, it's almost 100 points. But if you add the cushion as well, it's actually a bit more. So I will likely have to take a bit off here because I've placed a higher entry than I would need. But with price moving so fast, you just want to place the orders even if you're a bit above, and then you can just remove a bit once you get filled. So I'm just observing now, again, waiting for the fifth 5-minute bar to start forming here. And then we'll be looking at the second 15-minute bar in the DAX and perhaps in gold as well. So we did get filled short here. I'm deleting the long order. And I'm going to drag the short in its place. As you can see, it's risking 73. So we can just take a teeny bit off just to respect our sizing here. So I'm just going to risk 69. And for a target, this is quite interesting here. For a target, past few days, I have been targeting for this entry like between 80 to 100 points. But actually it managed to get the maximum of 400 points yesterday, 370 points the day before, and 200 points the day before that. So I'm also counting maximum points made, not just the reasonable points made, which I usually look at. So normally, like I said, I make 90 points, 100 points, 130 points, 82 points, 140 points on this entry, but past few days it's gone lower. If we look here on the daily chart, so we could easily be revisiting the low of this range. We are now, after rallying for quite a while, we look to be in a range here. We could easily, be going even lower. So this is 100 points right here. And I'm just gonna go for a bit lower, see what happens. Gonna go for 150. And I might take profit early if, say, we start losing steam, but I'll let it run. And now if we have a situation where a clear reversal pattern forms here, like we've just rated the lows of London session, if we now close on the 15-minute time frame, if we close strongly back into London range, I will be manually closing this and going long. But obviously, I do think there's high potential that this trade works, just because this has been the best rated entry. This is the entry that has worked the best in the past weeks, and actually past month, I think. So this is a very strong entry. So I am favoring a continuation to the downside here. And that is just based on how the Nasdaq has behaved lately. So let's see what happens. We have started forming the fifth 5-minute bar in the SPX. This will also be a higher sized trade, as will the DAX trade off the second 15-minute bar. So I'll bring you back 5 minutes until we complete this bar. So while the Nasdaq is looking good, we have also gotten filled in the Dow here. Now obviously I do see here that, just let me place this, I can easily see that we are just revisiting the high of London session, which can easily act as support here. And the Nasdaq is dumping, which is nice. Now here is a judgment call that you need to make here. Because for the Nasdaq, it is good to move the stop loss here, traditionally. Now I'm not gonna go all the way. Let's see, how many points do we have right now? It's like 70 points. So I am lowering the stop loss, because if we do go back all the way here and close, there's no way to just lose the entire amount. And the issue now with the SPX is that the bar now is too high for the fifth 5-minute bar. So that is a bit unfortunate. And for the Dow, see, there's a lot to manage here. For the Dow, I'm gonna go like in the middle of London session here. Let's see what happens. And I will do the same with the Dow here, especially for the second 5-minute bar entry. You do have to move the stop loss a bit. I realize I'm being, quite ambitious here. I could have just taken the profit. However, because it was like 80 points of profit. But I'm just looking at what has happened in the past few days, and if that happens again, I'm just going to be pissed that I didn't try to go for more. That's fine if that happens, but I just want to be a bit more ambitious just based on the research that I've done that is showing that the Nasdaq has been going lower in the past few sessions, even when it bounced back a bit. So my next entry will be the break of the second 15-minute bar. It is a 60-point bar, so this will require an adjustment as well. But let's see. So I'll bring you back for that. And I've placed my orders for the DAX as well here. And finally, we do have gold. However, a 7-point bar in gold generally is bad news. I am unsure. And just looking at what has happened in the past few sessions on this, even though the rating for this entry is decent, it's not super great. I do not really like the 7+ point bar here. So I'll just skip this one. And we're selling again after attempting to retrace. And this is why I held it. Now, whatever happens here, I'll live with it. But it would be nice to see a further sell here, just to validate my research. There we go. Come on. Don't double bottom there, please. I'm weary of this wick here, to be honest. But let's see. I will not rush to close the trade. Come on, we're close. And I think we hit TP in the Dow. Yeah. Cool. I am going to be hopeful here. And what I'll do is I will move stop loss to break even this time. I could also take half off. Just to take some profit, maybe. Okay, you know what? Let's do it. Let's take half there, and we have gotten filled on the DAX as well, deleting the long order, placing the stop. So I'm risking, let me see if I got it right, I'm risking 62, which is fine. So it's between $60 and $70, which is what I wanted. I'm gonna quickly check my spreadsheet here. So on the DAX on this entry, which is the second 15-minute bar close, I've gotten 95 points in the past: 51, 60, 90, 46, 27. Those were the reasonable values. Now the maximum values that were available: 148, 230, 110, 80, 150. So we could go for 100 here. Let's see what 100 looks like. But 100 is quite ambitious. Let's go right below here for just a 1-to-1. I think a 1-to-1 is fine here. And this has moved quite quickly. The ATR is 30. If we close this 5-minute bar at plus 30 from our entry point, so it would be 22,416. I'm gonna add just a bit less, but I'm gonna add. And we're in that area, but I do want to see a close. I don't want to see a wick. I think we have a good shot of hitting the Nasdaq here. I was considering adding around here, but as I had several more entries to go through, I was also looking at the DAX to enter off the close of the second 15-minute bar, and I was also looking at the fifth 5-minute bar, but then decided to skip it because it was quite big. I hesitated a bit, and the opportunity kind of passed, but I'm happy to just hit TP here. So this didn't really close where I wanted it to close. Closed a bit higher. I'll let it do its thing for now. Stop loss is still in place. I'm not gonna move it. If we just reverse here, that's fine. It's part of the strategy. This was a nice TP though in the Dow. So this is how history is looking on these past few trades. This was this morning, so this is where the day started. Quite decent, I would say, so far. I don't have other entries for today. Actually, the break of the third 15-minute bar in the Dow is decent, but let me just check the sizing of this bar. 3551. It's over 100 points, which is a bit much, but let's see. I might still do something here. That being said, we're 9 minutes away from the completion of this bar, so this could get quite larger. Would have liked to see a bit more strength in this DAX sell here, but currently we're kind of doing the same thing that we did in SPX and in the Nasdaq, where we broke down and revisited, and hopefully we now sell again in the DAX as well. But let's see. A close above any of these bearish bars might mean an early trade close for me. But let's see, we're close in the Nasdaq here to take profit. Very much like to see that. It would validate my research because I have just recently begun to also look at the maximum points that were available for each of my mechanical entries. Normally I would only look at what I could reasonably get and what I would reasonably target, because you're not almost ever going to get most of the move. So I would be writing down what I stand to make, not what the maximum amount would have been. But I'm also entering the maximum amount now just to compare and see if I am letting a lot of points on the table. And in the Nasdaq, this has been the case, and in the Dow in the past few sessions, so this is why I wanted to let this run for a bit more today. And gold is breaking below the second 15-minute bar. This was an entry for me today, but like I said, it's an 8-point bar plus half a point cushion each side, so we would go to 9-point range between the entry point and the stop loss. I kind of don't like that. Generally, I haven't seen moves bigger than 6 to 7 points in gold on this entry lately. So when we go above that, it's kind of like perhaps I should just pass. Okay, so the DAX has done a similar, quite a similar pattern to what these two have done earlier, but let's see. Nasdaq has tried now a few times to break below the low. It does feel like we're stumbling here a bit, so let's just take profit, I think. We're targeting 56 and we're at 45, 46, so I think that's fine. We got most of that move. So we got 75.85 of the Nasdaq, and I was targeting like $100, I think, so we got most of the move there. And points wise, got like 100 points. That's fairly nice. And we still have exposure to the downside here in the DAX, so let's just hope this works. It's not that of an ambitious target, I don't think so. Let's see. I'll pause you now. So we are getting close to hitting TP on the DAX here. I'm not going to move the stop loss further lower. While I think there is a chance we go lower, I think this is a key area where we could be seeing a reversal easily. That would be nice to actually hit it here, of course, but yeah, it's the area of the morning's breakout, and we just hit it there. You just see that. You've just seen that. So this is a very good example of me applying my mechanical entries based on my research, applying them absolutely objectively. And look, we've gone even lower in the Nasdaq here. So once again, the research showed that we could go quite a bit lower, but I do want to exercise some caution, of course. And not to target the absolute lows, but obviously we can now probably go towards this low here. Still, I got a very good size of the move there. I'm happy with that. Perhaps I'd have to reassess if passing on this was the right call. It is a 20-point 5-minute bar in the SPX. Generally, that's a bit too much for this index. I generally do want it to be lower than 20 points, preferably maximum like 16, 17 points is what I've taken in the past. So this is what held me back here. Similar to gold, now you see both of them worked today. Maybe I will take that into account for future sessions, but my research showed that the move to the downside in gold recently, let me just check it again. So US second 15-minute bar close, 7 points, 6 points, 10.6 points, 14 points, 7.7 points. So 14 points was the outlier, and besides that, generally this move yielded like 7 points on average. So I wasn't really that enthusiastic about having a 9-point stop loss for a 6 to 7 point target. Could have yielded more here, as we've seen now, but obviously we're using hindsight. But this result will go in my spreadsheet, so it will influence what I do in the next few days. And this is how my strategy works. So With that in mind, I think I've applied all my entries here. I also had the third 15-minute bar in the Dow, but it just got a bit too large for my taste as well. So from 552 to 372, that is a bit too big of a bar as well. But if this yields a lot of points, this will also go in my spreadsheet. So I'm always adapting and always adding new data, new relevant objective data, and then I choose my entries based on which are better objectively by a rating that takes into the account the last 14 trading days. So with that in mind, this was me for today's session. I'm up quite a bit today. Let me just check the total. Give me 1 second. So the total for today is $278. That is 2.78% on the account. It is a 10K account. So that's nice. Pretty straightforward sessions. Haven't taken any losses today really. I closed this manually earlier and it was the right call on gold, so after adding twice. So really one break-even trade and the others were all wins for today. All nicely done, nicely and mechanical, as I like it. So this was a good day. You can also have more difficult days like you've seen yesterday, for example, which was a break-even day. Win one, lose one. But a nice result for today. Strategies worked. I will continue to apply my entries objectively and mechanically. And I will stop this video now. That's it for today. See you tomorrow.